let's try some of these lovely CD-ROMs. Music. Yes, I'd like to try some of these music programs. 30 of them on here. You can get those on a disc, would you? Floppy disk. So, new format. Here we go. Open up the disk tray. Pop that in there. And we'll wait for it to load. Just oh, there's the tick. So it's checking for the disc. Should start spinning up in a minute. It's just taking a while to spin up. It's not going to spin up, is it? Welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at why the CD-ROM drive in my Amiga 1200 isn't working. When I packed it away, it worked fine, and now it doesn't. So let's dive in. Right, let's explain how the IDE interface is all set up on this Amiga. I'm using something known as a power flyer. It's built by L-Box. It's also known as the data flyer, and it provides faster ATA connections than the standard Amiga 1200 IDE interface. It does that by actually plugging directly into the ROM sockets and providing interface via that, so it completely bypasses the standard interface. So, in order to access that, we have preferences. What am I looking for? ATA3 prefs. Here we go. Okay, ATA3 prefs. This is showing the primary and secondary connectors on the power flyer. You can see we've got the master and slave. I'd have put them the other way round on the preferences. L-Box, just, you know, make it a bit easier for the user. So we've got a Fujitsu hard drive there. That's what I actually boot from. And you can see the PIO mode. Basically, as it goes up, it gets faster. PIO 3 is the maximum it can do. Let's put that on PIO 3 as well. This one, ATAP, that's a Mitsumi CD-ROM drive. I've had that plugged into the machine since I first got the power tower, so I know that it has worked in the past. I've played plenty of games off of it. I've installed plenty of software off of Amiga format and CU Amiga cover discs from it as well. So I know it's worked in the past, but it's not working now. On the secondary bus, we've got another hard drive here. This time it's a Western Digital disc that can go to PIO 5 apparently, so really fast. Unfortunately, I think it's limited to the lower PIO mode because of what the master is set to, which is this iOmega zip drive. The zip drive actually works, so not really sure what's going on. And if anyone's wondering why I've got the these discs here as master and the hard drives on slave, it's just to do with how the cables are connected. I think it's a case of the removable discs are at the end of their respective cables, and then the slave hard drives are in the middle of them. So that's the only reason. This split no split is to do with how AmigaOS reads drives over 4 gigabytes. 4 gigabytes was the limit for Amiga hard drives for a long time. Obviously then capacity's got much larger than that, and so fixes need to be put in place. SCSI device, which is what the standard Amiga ID port uses, has since been patched to use larger discs, but I think this came in before that happened, so because it's its own interface, it had to kind of bypass it anyway, so they put their own thing in there where you could basically split the disk up into logical 4GB blocks to create just individual partitions if you wanted. Now, one worrying thing down here, PPC 603E 160 6804025 card defective, rescue mode on. Now, I looked that up because obviously that actually sounds a bit worrying, and it's to do with a certain instruction which isn't present on a certain iteration of the 68040 processor. Apparently it's nothing to worry about. Lbox actually built a workaround into the software, but it just kind of it lets you know that you've got one of those CPUs. It doesn't have any effect on it though, so that's good to know. Right, so that all looks fine. I'm going to cancel that because I don't really want to change anything. Next thing, devs. Let's go to DOS drivers. Okay, CDO. This is the device driver for the CD-ROM drive. SCSI.device unit 1. So that should work. Let's have a look at, let's open edit pad. Ignore that. Basically these buttons will work on any icon that's actually selected. So if I selected a file there and then opened edit pad, it would have just opened straight into edit pad. Or you can also drag and drop, which is sort of pretty handy as well. Let's look in startup sequence. Let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, so open Oxy port. That's for the Oxy-ROM patcher for the 68040 instructions. Put some nice ones in there. Right, if check the left mouse button, open up ATA3 prefs, which we've just seen. So that's how to get into the preferences for the power flyer before the Amiga actually boots up into anything else. C80A3 driver, goes and quiet. So that just makes sure that it stays in RAM and it remains in RAM. And that just makes sure that any output doesn't then appear on a CLI window. So it's in there. It's in there. It's in the startup sequence. The preferences show that it's okay. What other tools do we have available to us? Let's have a look at Mounter. So here's Mounter. There's a Mitsumi CD-ROM drive. Flag there is removable. If I click Mount, get an error. Rigid disk block not found. That's because when we set up a hard drive on an Amiga, it sets up something known as a rigid disk block. And it's from there where it then maps out partitions and other information. So obviously you don't have one of those on a CD or a CD-ROM drive without a CD in it, as this appears to be, despite there being one in there. Right, this isn't working, is it? I think I might need to open it up. So we've had a bit of a traipse around the inside of this case before, as well as that bit of B-roll just now. What we're looking at here is the mediator PCI bus board, and the cables you can see coming from underneath it, these ones, they are what provide the drives with their connection to the bus board, to the data flyer. So we've got plenty of power cables going into the devices, we've got IDE cables going into the devices, and then you can just about see if we can get a bit closer here, it's a bit cramped, here, that's the power flyer IDE interface. Now if we go up a bit, so we've got the top of the mediator here, with some power connections coming from the tower. A few more cables coming down. They plug into the, I think the keyboard interface. Is that the keyboard interface? Can't really see. Clock port interface. So we've got some cables coming down from that, and then going up around here. I can't actually remember what they're for, so I'm not really sure where they're off to. So I'll have to investigate that a bit. And then here we've got the floppy drive cable. That's nicely in there. Doesn't look like the floppy drive's actually plugged in though. No wonder it's coming up DF0 NDOS. It's basically plugged in, but nothing's powering it. So I might pop that on. That might have just come undone during transportation. So you want to take another look at the blizzard there. There you go. Bit dusty in here, but everything seems to be in its place. It's so thick that just blowing the dust does not remove it. Might have to just have a brief clean of the interior of that. But let's have a look at the CD-ROM drive. Okay, so this is the back of the CD-ROM drive. You can see this is the power cable that goes into the back of it. This is the IDE cable, 40 pin. And then we've got some more bits coming off there. I think that's audio out. That's what actually goes to the back, where there are some audio ports, so you can kind of mix the CD audio with the Amiga audio if you want to, but you can't do that straight through from the motherboard, which is unfortunate. I'm actually going to remove... Actually, no, that's not going to make a difference, is it? Everything is plumbed in as it should. There's power to the CD-ROM drive because the drive bay opens and shuts, and I get the LED at the front actually on. I don't really want to swap the cable because it would mean changing all the cables to the actual booting hard drive as well. So I might actually take this drive out, crack it open and see if the drive belt's okay in there. That is one dusty drive. Otherwise it looks healthy enough. No rust or anything on it at least. Now I'm not an engineer, electronic or otherwise, so I'm really not sure what I'm going to see when I open this up, even if I can. But let's give it a go. It's not like it's working, is it? Okay, so here we have the Mitsumi CD-ROM drive. Ugh. Look how thick that is. That is disgusting. I think I'll put that down there for the Hoover. I'll probably cover the lens there as well. Ports at the back look fine. Looks like we've got 4 or 5 tiny little screws, so we'll try to get in via those, I think. Now, about the only precautions I've taken here is touching the radiator, so Hopefully that'll be enough. It's not like I can make this any worse at this point. One more. Two more in fact. There's 6. Well, it comes away now. Is it one of these things where I just crack it open? Because I don't think I need to undo these. I think these ones are just holding the device to the base. It's where you really need 2 pairs of hands, isn't it? Hey! Which is how you do it incredibly delicately. Yeah, okay, I am going to remove those screws then. Ah, there we go, we're in. What I was really hoping to see when I opened this up was some kind of drive belt, which would be spinning the disc. There isn't a drive belt from this angle. On the plus side, I can see the Amiga format CD in there, so I know it hasn't vanished into a higher plane. Oop. So this ha 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 ha. We saved you Amiga format 43. Well, we know that bit works on it anyway, don't we? Because the dish tray goes in and out. Yeah, like I said, I'm no electronics expert. I don't really want to take it apart any further. Although I do have an empty drive bay now. Maybe a new CD-ROM drive's in order. The only precautions I've taken here is touching the radiator, so hopefully that'll be enough. It's not like I can make this any worse at this point. Okay, you've got me a bit of run and gun here on the camera. I've just had a bit of a heart-stopping moment. This screen is actually really good to see because I've been switching the A1200 back on after plugging it all back in, and it hasn't been booting. It's just been going to a black screen. Now, when I removed the Blizzard PPC, I actually managed to get it to boot to early startup, which is concerning in itself. I did at one point manage to boot it with the Blizzard PPC in there. I managed to get it into the 8083 prefs with the left mouse button press on boot up, and it only showed a 68020. I didn't touch it. I did not touch that accelerator board, so I'm really unsure what's happened with that. I've taken it out, given the expansion port a brief look at. It all looks fine. You know, there's no gunk in there. It hangs vertically, so you know nothing should be able to drop into it. It didn't want to boot. So I'm going to leave this as it is for now, and I think I'll need to get hold of a new CD-ROM drive and then just not touch it, just keep the whole thing static, because despite all that moving around through different houses and different lofts, turns out it's a bit fragile. Thanks for watching. Oh, and a quick update on my screen mode issues. I'm in Picasso 96 mode again, and basically one has to make sure that every single colour mode on every single screen mode has been updated. My monitor will not sync to 113 Hertz. For instance, I have to get it to about 75 before it will do anything. So I'm gradually going through each of the colour settings on each of the resolutions I have, so that's about 20, 25 different ones that I need to sort out. And then things should be up and running properly. It works! It works! Personal Paint via the Voodoo 3. The graphics modes have been tweaked. Huzzah!